Today I'm modding this PS4 controller and bringing it back to its full potential. I'm going to be fixing the triggers, adding an LED light kit and a new custom shell, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So this is the LED kit that I'm going to be using today. It is the DFS kit from Extreme Rate. The kit comes with the clear LED buttons and also comes with a few different PCBs, one being a solid PCB and one being a flex PCB. Speaking of PCBs, it's now time to pay the bills, so this video is sponsored by PCBWay. Before we begin this project, I'd like to give a shout out to this video's sponsor, PCBWay. For those who don't know, PCB stands for Printed Circuit Board. PCBs are the neatest and cleanest way to present your electronic projects, and without them, most of my projects wouldn't be possible. I'm constantly using PCBs in my projects, for example, a mod chip like this one. PCBWay's services allow you to get your own PCBs printed at affordable prices using their easy to use website. They also offer board assembly, 3D printing and CNC work. Whether you're a beginner or an expert, PCBWay is the way for you. Now back to the video. So along with the LED buttons, this controller will also be getting a nice grippy back housing and a front housing which is kind of a neon pattern. It's like blue and red, and I think this is going to look great with the LEDs. So of course the first step is to open up the old controller and take out all of the parts. We're going to start with the 4 screws on the back of the controller and then pop off the back plate. Once inside, we need to remove all of the ribbon cables and also disconnect the battery. Then we're going to remove the battery holder with the Phillips screw. This one also holds down the motherboard. Then there's another ribbon cable to remove which connects the touchpad to the motherboard. And after that, the whole front assembly comes out. Unfortunately on this controller the vibration motor cable snapped, so I'm going to have to resolder that later. Then we're going to remove everything from the front shell. This includes all the membranes and the buttons as well as the touchpad. At this point we can switch over to the new shell, so the new front neon one, and begin installing the clear buttons to the shell. Then we can pull out the new PCB, which is responsible for holding and controlling the LEDs. This board looks really well designed, and it kind of acts as a middleman between the motherboard and the old buttoned flex cable. This new flex PCB sits on the controller over the button sensors and pushes through to the other side to make a middleman connection between the motherboard. At this point we need to install the flex cable to the top of the controller, and this is how we get these LEDs on those trigger and bumper buttons. There's then a bit of adhesive that needs to be removed to stick down the PCB to the shell of the controller. We now need to remove this piece from the touchpad and replace it with the new one that Extreme provides for us. We need to make sure that the ribbon cable is routed through the same hole so that it fits when we reassemble the controller. Now we need to replace the old analog sticks with the new clear ones to ensure that the LEDs can shine through them. Now we're going to put the motherboard back into the housing and ensure that that touchpad ribbon cable is plugged in and not trapped under the board. Now it's time to install the trigger and bumper membranes and buttons, making sure that the membranes sit nicely on top of the LED kit. These simply just pop back in and they're really easy to do. As I said earlier, the vibration cable came loose from my motherboard, so I'm just going to get that reconnected so that the vibration motor works. Next we need to use the included ribbon cable to connect the LED kit to the motherboard. This ribbon cable plugs into the LED kit as well as the port on the controller, so you're going to lift up the little latch on the port, plug in the cable with the black side pointing up, and then plug the other side into the controller. As the micro USB-C port only provides power to the motherboard and not the LED kit, we need to replace it with the one extreme rate included. This new board is going to make sure that the LED kit and controller are both powered by the battery. This is also the time where if you have a new back shell, like for example this controller's getting a nice grippy green one, you would want to swap over to the new shell. We then want to screw down the new port and plug in the flex cable that connects to the controller and the LED kit. Once again we lift up the little latch and plug it in from the main board. Now we want to re-screw in the battery holder. Now I put that screw in there temporarily to hold the board down so it didn't come out while we were doing things, but that is actually a screw for the battery holder, so you want to put that on and screw it back into place. There are two little cables coming off of this new port PCB. One of them plugs into the motherboard and one of them plugs into the battery. And that is the full installation of the LED kit. Now all we need to do is reassemble the controller and get it all put back together. The original screws on this controller were a little bit rusty, but luckily Extreme Rate provides some brand new fresh ones that we can use on the back of the controller to make sure that it's looking all nice and new. And that is the full controller finished. I really like how it looks, but I really want to show you guys in a dark setting, so let's switch over to something a bit more appropriate. Okay, so what you do here is hold the left bumper button, the right D-pad and the square button for 10 seconds, and that will turn on the LEDs. I've currently got them programmed as red and blue, but you can change these to whatever you want. Personally, I think this looks really good, and I love how you can change the colours on each individual part of the controller. You hold the left bumper and the square button for 5 seconds, and then you can cycle through the different colours of the 7 areas. Once you find a colour you like on a specific area, you hold the left bumper and press the square button to move on to the next area. This kit cost me about £30, and I think the shells were about £30 as well. Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd try for yourself. Alright, so now we're done. I've got the controller all packaged up here because this controller isn't actually for me. This is for my friend Kai's brother for his birthday, so happy birthday, Alfie. I've never really done a kind of commission build before, I guess, in terms of like someone else paying for the parts and me just doing the installation. Kind of sad to see it go because it's a nice controller, but hopefully you get some enjoyment out of it. If you do throw it at a wall and break it, I will find you. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like down below, subscribe, and leave me a comment letting me know what other videos you want to see, because I'm kind of stripped for ideas at the minute. I've also now got a Patreon, so for just £1 a month, you can join the Patreon and get access to some behind the scenes content, and also share your recommendations on upcoming videos and videos that haven't even been designed yet. So that's it for today, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.